Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Beautiful day today. But today we're going to talk about something on your head. Be right back with you. Welcome back everybody. I've been seeing, for some crazy reason, a lot of videos about boonie hats for the past several weeks. And I've watched a few of them, and I even have a friend of mine who posted one. Even tested some on the last camping trip out for another thing. But first of all, a lot of people are modifying their boonie hats. And hey, first of all, do what you want to do. Do not attack me because I have a different opinion. My opinion, though, is going with a lot of experience. One thing I also modify my boonie, but I don't modify it in the way that you may modify it, or a lot of people on these videos modify them. I see a lot of people taking their boonie hats and putting a wire in the brim, okay? Do what you got to do. My experience and some testing I've done, which contradicts some people in their testing, is that if you're using your compass, this can pull the needle left or right, okay? So be wary of that. So if you are using a compass and you're shooting your azimuth with it, pull your boonie hat off maybe, okay? But you may not always been in a situation where you can do that. Now, let's first of all, let's talk about what a boonie hat's for. A boonie hat originally was called a sun hat, and we've always worn slouch hats or these round type hats, cowboy hats, this kind of stuff. They're all through history, okay? Men have used them. Why have they used them? Well, several reasons. To keep their head cool. You lose about 30% of your body temperature through your head, and it's important to allow that to happen in the summertime. And in the wintertime, you put on a little wool cap and you go from there. Now, during my time in the Army, we would wear the wool caps under our helmets, or we'd wear just a wool cap. And back then we had the black ones, and that's what we wore. I'm not a big fan of black hats, it's kind of like that, because it tends to make you warm, you know. But in wintertime, it's a good thing to have that. I had an olive one, and I had a boss that had an olive one also. And so I tended to wear that one more often, an olive colored wool watch cap that I was able to find. But of course, that was only in the field. For PT and that kind of stuff, we were forced to wear the black ones, and it was all had to be uniform. So let's go on past that. But the boonie hat itself is there to offer you some protection from the heat of the sun, okay? And you see a lot of people modifying theirs with very short brims. The British are keen on it. That's their thing, you know, very short brims. And I think that defeats the whole thing of having a boonie hat. You might as well just wear a patrol cap, which we did quite often also. But it was funny. I saw a joke saying the best piece of equipment we ever had issue was the boonie hat, but we were never allowed to use it. And this is so true, okay? But when we were allowed to use it, going down to Panama or other stuff like that, if you were on a sniper team or reconnaissance team, this kind of stuff, or alert team, you could wear it and get away with it. Now, I happen to have my original one here. Well, original one. I had an olive drab one for many years, but this is the one that I used throughout my time in the Army. It's a regular M1983 woodland camouflage boonie hat. Let's see, I don't even know what year it was made in. Inside of you have this really nice little piece of paper here that tells you this one happens to be a 7 1/4 in size. And if I look at the dates on it, if I can see it, I can't. My glasses aren't very good. But I have done some modification on it. The first thing I did was I washed it. And I washed it so it would be a little bit more floppy. And I want it to be wide enough so that it protected my ears, protected the back of my neck, protected my face, this kind of stuff, from direct sunlight. And so if I was shooting like that, or if I was looking through binoculars, or if I just wanted to see things at a distance, I didn't have this glare of the sun in my face. Another thing I did is I put cat eyes on the back of it, which was a pretty common occurrence. And I didn't like wearing this string right here around my neck, so I attached it to the back like you see here with this came off of a bandolier, M16 556 bandolier, this little baby pin. And it's good to have some of these out here on you because you never know what you can use them for. And I just sort of pin up on the back. Now, I would wear mine like this but what I did is I flipped up the back and I wore it like this. The reason why is because if you have a rucksack on, or if you're in a prone position, it helps, okay? And so I often did that with it, and it worked fine. Now the front part, of course, this piece right here, I didn't mind that it was a little bit floppy right there. Matter of fact, it worked out fine. And because I popped it up in the back, the front had a tendency to lay like this. So that worked just fine. Now, it has these little small things right here, which is good if you want to put some vegetation in there or use some kind of a camouflage scrim or something like that. You can attach it into it. And I have done that. Like, for example, it was funny because the desert hat, which mine is in the museum, in 30th Division Museum Archives now. It didn't have this on the side of it, but I did have a camouflage veil that was attached to it, and I used these kind of pins to attach it to it in different spots, and so there you go. But I gave it to along with my uniforms after the Gulf War 91 to the 3rd Infantry Division Museum, and then they took it, and it was on display there in Germany for a while, and then they moved to Fort I think it was Stuart, Georgia, and where they're at today. And I think it's just in archives because I'm sure they've done a lot of things. They have plenty of uniforms from 3rd ID guys. But anyway, so they have mine. They have all my desert stuff. The only thing I kept was one shirt and a pair of pants. I gave the pants, I think, to my roommate, and the shirt, I don't remember what I did with that. I just didn't want to see it anymore, those chocolate chips. Anyway, so back to the story. I still have this one right here, and this one here works very well. Some people will modify it by putting VF17 panels inside of it. I have one right here. Get my hands on it here. I have mine right here. I've had this on here for many years, and people will sew those inside of them. Great idea, but the problem with that is that it's also very warm on top of your head, makes it a little bit heavier. I try to cut down as much as I can on the weight on my head. It's bad enough you had a helmet when you're in the military, or if you're outdoors, this kind of stuff. Now, you don't want to do that. Now, if you get really warm, you can always wet your hat, put it on your head, and that acts as a cooling vapor, but you're going to dry it out pretty quickly. But don't get one too small, because if it's too small, you're going to, it will swell up with perspiration, and you're going to notice that. Okay, I put it on my head here. I don't wear this thing anymore. I have a lot more hair than I used to have, but that's basically how I wore it. Okay, and there you go. You look on the side, you see in the back, but that's how I wore it pretty much. And I did not need any kind of metal thing on it at all. Okay, it works just fine like this right here. I can always just fold it right here if I want to, but in general, I didn't need anything. And I don't understand people who put those in them. Okay. And you don't want your hat looking very square and very squared away. The reason why is because it's going to give you a form if you're in the military. Now, civilian world, hey, wear it how you want to. In the military, wear it how you want to. I don't care. But I'm just telling you how I did it and why I did it. Now, this right here is a Czech. Well, it's a reproduction, but they use a Czech camouflage, which works really, really good. And it has it's just standard Boonie Hat on the inside, but it's made probably in China, something like that. And as you notice, I even stuck this up to the back, so I don't like it. But the camouflage is very good, and the material is actually quite good too. I have never washed this one right here. I just bought it and never used it. I just thought I liked the camouflage on it. So that's a pretty decent looking camouflage, I'd say, the Czech Army camouflage. And of course, I have what you see here, which is a Tilly hat, which is a sailing and an outdoor hat. And this company makes a really, really good waterproof hats, which they're a heavy canvas, but it's called the T3. But I've got a new one, which is a lot lighter, which I like a little better because it's not so warm. And you can button up the sides, this kind of stuff. And it comes with a foam inside of it that helps it to float. Has a little pocket. But I don't suggest you put a whole bunch of stuff in there. You know, the reason why is because it gets heavy. And this right here is actually quite a warm hat right here. Now, I needed it very much when I was in the UK on an outdoor course for almost a week and a half, a 10-day course, and it rained and it pissed every day. And so that thing right there, so much better than a baseball cap. Now, something else you should do with your hats before you go out in the summertime is treat them. You can spray them down really well with some kind of a anti-insect repellent. I spray mine down really well. That way it helps keep the bugs away. That's something you can do. You can also treat them by soaking them in. I think DEET or something like that. I'm not sure about how good that's. It's very good, but I'm not sure how good it is for us as humans. But anyway, so this is just a little bit of advice from my side, from my experience with the Boonie hat, why we wear them, and why you shouldn't cut them down and modify them too much. There is a level of modification you can do, just don't overdo it. I saw somebody putting on, I don't know how many meters of paracord on one on another channel. And look, it looks cool, but the problem with that is weight. It adds weight to it. It also makes it small, tighter around the head, which is going to give you a headache or makes you not feel well. And it's going to sort of hold in all that heat. I don't suggest you do all that. It's not needed. You got pockets. You carry your paracord in a pocket. You know, getting it off of your hat's a pain in the ass. So why are you going to add that to it? You know, if you got the panel, cut it down to where it's probably 30 centimeter, a foot, foot by, whatever, into a square. Put some tape around it so that it holds on or whatever, or sew it on. I'm thinking about cutting that down. And you have like a flash. You can flash it. You have both sides of it. And that you can fold up and put it in your pocket also for the VF-17 panel. I'm not bringing any helicopters or jumps, just kind of stuff like that, so I don't need it for that. For me, it's fine just having it as a survival tool or a signaling tool on a small level. So you don't need to add all these things to your hat. So try not to. Now, winter time, you can wear these in winter time, but if it rains, this kind of stuff, it's going to go through it. So that's why I'm saying wear a watch cap or get yourself a Tilly hat that has that. And you can treat these. You can put a spray on it, a knee wax spray that waterproofs them a whole lot, for the winter time. And it's okay. It keeps the rain off of your face, this kind of stuff. That works great. If that works for you, you do that. But like I said, try not to add any stiffeners to it. Try not to add any kind of special pockets and paracord and all this kind of stuff. Go light. Leave it the way it is. Modify it like the way you saw I had modified mine with some cat eyes on the back of it if you need that. If you want to put some little Velcro on it or whatever and put a patch on there, go for it, okay? But at the end of the day, what's the job of that hat? It's to keep the sun off of you, to protect you, and try to maintain some kind of a level of temperature that's not too hot and helps you to cool down a bit. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please like, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up, and share with your friends and enemies. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And tell me what you think about my opinion or my experience with these things. And what do you do? I look forward to hearing from you. Talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves and have yourself a good one. Goodbye.